Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to If Data Could Talk. I am your host, Andy Cotgreave. It's great to be back in the thick of season 2. You'll notice the ponytail has gone. I'm finally looking a bit more professional once again. Also today, you need to know I've got really bad hay fever. So if I say I'm sniffly and look red-eyed, it's to do with the pollen, not my emotions. And if you see none of that, it's down to the top quality editing team we have behind If Data Could Talk. But enough of that. Today, we're going into the data-driven world of advertising and especially how ads play a role in public service announcements, particularly around the pandemic. Joining us to dive into this topic is Anne Deo, who is SVP of Analytics at the Ad Council. Anne, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself and something about the Ad Council.
Sure. Hi, thanks, Andy, for having me. I am the head of analytics at the Ad Council. In my role, I oversee the analytics and business intelligence capabilities used to help measure the impact of the Ad Council's social good campaigns. I work with an amazing team of data and campaign analysts. We call ourselves the analyzers. And our goal is to use data and insights to continually understand the effectiveness of our work and deliver on our organization's mission, which is to make a measurable difference in society.
So just to clarify for me, because I know before I'd heard of the Ad Council, you're not like, you're doing good with advertising, is that right?
That's right.
Yeah, so it's not, you're not advertising the big global brands, you are using adverts as a vehicle for changing the world.
Right, we are a nonprofit organization. We've been around for nearly 80 years. And the purpose is to use the power of communications and marketing to tackle the toughest issues facing our country. It is domestic focused. And at a high level, we focus on where we can create impact through awareness, education, and individual action.
Right, brilliant. And that obviously is going to bring us on to the main topic. We have all lived through a global pandemic. None of us predicted it. Well, maybe some people predicted it, but we certainly didn't expect it. Quite to have the impact we did. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Tell us about the last 15 months of your life, Anne. How did things change at the start of the COVID pandemic? And how did the Ad Council respond? And what was the role data played in that?
Right. So, our typical model is we have about 40 active social good campaigns at any given time. And they typically have a sponsor, which is a nonprofit or government agency. And we have some sort of activation every year, whether it's new campaign work, influencer engagement, or more content. In more recent years, we've been taking a deeper approach on certain issues. So our Love Has No Labels initiative is an example of that, where we will work with brands and coalitions to dive deeper on diversity and inclusion. So in a way, our model was a bit set up for these larger issues that we started to face, over a year ago. And so once the pandemic was declared, it was about really jumping into that style of addressing a large scale issue and about getting life-saving information to the public. In addition to social distancing, messages targeting at-risk general market, young adults, parents, Black Americans, we also created and distributed campaigns on other issues that were exacerbated by the pandemic. So bias and discrimination, plasma donation, we had work on hunger prevention, and certainly around mental health and coping. So it was a partnership with CDC that really helped us address and fill a need in the landscape to bring messages to consumers about how to, survive this pandemic. And collectively, those results were very strong. The media landscape was open. Every brand wanted to get some sort of messaging out there. And it was an unprecedented effort for coronavirus response, where the efforts had $477 million in media support donated from our partners and driving 34 million visits to coronavirus.gov. And it really set us up. We knew that the vaccines were going to be another momentous public health messaging challenge. And so we were able to kind of meet that moment more proactively. And that has become the largest and most ambitious public health initiative for the US and for our organization.
Yeah, and obviously vaccination is a big issue across the world. So I think, we're talking about the adverts that you've made, and I think it would be wrong not to see an example. So should we have a look at one of the ones about, I think you call it the grandma advert?
Yes, that'd be great. That's a spot that's really one of our messaging principles is hitting on that emotional pool of moments we miss. And so this spot was actually thought up by Pereira Odell, was our agency. And Pereira himself thought of it, thinking about the moments he missed of his son with his mother. Right. So that's what this spot is based on.
Okay, let's watch the ad.
In all the old familiar places that this heart of mine embraces all day through. In that small cafe, the park across the way, the children's carousel, the chestnut trees, the wishing well.
Well, it's great watching that ad. Really, congratulations to Anne and the team for producing that. So our audience, they're into data, and it's a bit, I am too, obviously. And so how does data inform the production and monitoring and follow-up of an emotional advert like that?
Sure. So we use a rigorous data-driven approach for all of our campaigns, but given the scale and significance of our vaccine initiative, there's been an opportunity to do more around analytics and insights than we've ever been able to do before. And it's really end-to-end throughout the whole development of the campaign, where we infuse data to inform each of the core areas of development. So from consumer insights to creative and content, that's part of the grandma spot that you just saw, media planning and activation, fulfillment and resources, to measuring impact. So ton of examples of how data was used for each of those areas and continues to be used in an ongoing process as the campaign evolves. For consumer insights, we're fielding a large quantitative survey with Ipsos to understand trends and attitudes and behaviors around COVID-19 vaccinations. We know we're about to hit a plateau in vaccination uptake. There's about a remaining, as of the end of May, there's about 20% that still comprise that wait and see segment. That's our primary target audience. And those who over-index in that wait and see segment include conservatives, Black Americans, young adults, and many residing in the Southern region. So we're using that knowledge to really understand who our target audience is and the size of it. In addition to the quantitative data, we're also doing qualitative research with Azul, where we figure out culturally nuanced insights on the target audiences, motivators, barriers, and mindsets to test messaging approaches. So data being really critical there in understanding what types of messaging and how it's positioned is going to resonate with this audience, so we don't turn them away from getting vaccinations. Our goal is to educate them, build their confidence so they feel like they're making an informed decision for themselves and for their families. Just was going to say, there's a lot of data we're using, a lot of robust partnerships we're using that have provided data throughout each of those core areas, but really laddering up to this platform and then measuring the impact of that platform.
So am I right? There's a lot of, obviously you can track clicks and hits and viewings, but there's a lot of sentiment-based data collection as well, trying to understand people's responses to what they see?
Right. So ongoing social listening to understand if our campaign is resonating and keep a pulse on new concerns they have so we can make sure that our messaging is addressing that. We also used social listening, and qualitative interviews to understand the messengers that would influence consumers to get the vaccine. We know that the medical experts are the most critical in informing Americans about and building their confidence in the vaccines. We know there's a place for using influencers and celebrities to share their experiences. We've seen that that's effective, and also allow medical experts to use their platforms to get in front of consumers. So definitely using personal information to understand how consumers, why they're vaccine hesitant, and what sort of messaging will help them feel more comfortable. We know that facts, surrounding them with facts, over and over, surrounding them with the same facts so that they hear it and they start to build their confidence, leveraging those influencers and medical experts. And leading with empathy is really the first and foremost messaging principle. It's okay to have questions. That's really the foundation of the platform. And I don't think I've said the name yet, but it's called It's Up to You. And so it's a personal choice, and we need to respect that. So it's about educating them so they can make that choice for themselves, but encouraging them to not follow misinformation and make sure that they have the right information.
I mean, it's obviously with something as profound and important as vaccinations, it's up to you aspect is incredible. But I mean, that's just a general lesson. Maybe I find when we speak to customers, and maybe you see this as an analyst, even in a business, you can point data at any decision, but sometimes there's always a human aspect of any business decision as well, right? You can be data driven, but data is really informing what is still going to be a human decision.
Right. Particularly when it's a social issue.
Yes.
So data will inform it, but you have to make sure it's going to resonate with the person at the end of that campaign. Yeah. And so when you're talking about these societal issues that can be that are really affecting our target audiences, you really have to make sure that you're respectful of that and can communicate in a way that they will, be tuned into it. And we're talking about making changes in attitudes and behaviors, which is no easy task. So we have to try to make sure we get the message right first.
And tell me a little bit about the actual business and data transformation that COVID, the pandemic created, because, the Ad Council has been doing similar work for a long time, but obviously we were all told to work at home and work extremely quickly and respond to things. What do you think did you have in place that gave you the resilience to respond and work in new ways since March 2020?
I mean, I think coronavirus response and that work, there was a need to get results very fast. And so we did a lot of work and processing to ensure we could get more real-time results, which has certainly helped our vaccine education initiative, and will also help our other campaigns. I think that we have such a strong set of data already, and a data warehouse and data visualization software that really gives us the technological capabilities, at least the foundation of it, to do work. So all of the partnerships we've added and the new data has been a bit easier to integrate along with our others, because we have the team and the structure in place to support it. But that being said, we've done a lot. It's been interesting on this campaign, again, because it's so large scale. We were able to introduce new ideas, new measurement processes and strategies for this campaign, on its own, to understand this issue itself versus, our core docket of campaigns. So we could get a little bit more creative. And so we have about at least 50 data sources we're bringing in for results on just this initiative. And wow. So we have a lot of data at our fingertips, but luckily we had a lot of things in place to help us understand the data so that we could try to get insights out fast.
Right. Okay. So if people are listening thinking they're trying to build their data literacy and data culture skills across the organization, what do you think would be general tips you'd advise? What have you done to make that enable that success in the Ad Council?
So earlier on, much of our efforts were spent on that data warehouse. I don't know if that's common, but that was really our first major endeavor prior. And that was, again, earlier on. It was really what helped us go from what was formerly a media measurement function to an analytics function. And so it was the start of evolving our analytics capabilities. And it helped us get past that kind of 80-20 rule, where we wanted to make sure that we could get as close to 80% of our time on analyzing data versus, and then more like 20% in the data cleansing and data managing. Again, with all those data sources and 40 active campaigns, we needed to find ways to automate our processes and do it in a way that kept the data accurate, but also could aggregate it together for us. So there's been a lot of work on that that we've been able to build out of or on top of. I'd say furthermore, that strong data structure has increased confidence throughout the organization on the quality of our data and getting teams comfortable with accessing and reviewing results directly. When we adopted Tableau, which again, this data warehouse kind of served as a foundation to being able to bring on capabilities like that, it was to, kind of institute self-service analytics. And so having those strong data processes and structures in place help people feel confident about the results that they were reviewing, that they were accurate and that they were comprehensive.
That's fascinating. I mean, I think investing in the data warehouse is one of those sometimes hard to hear lessons for people starting, because it's hard work. It's not really the sexy front end work, but without the foundation, you can't build a cathedral, can you? Can you elaborate? So you just said something interesting there about people can access the data directly, and that helps build trust. Can you? What does that actually look like? What do you mean by that?
So we've built dashboards and data visualizations on our campaigns. I've shared an example we could see that we did for Vaccine Education Initiative, and it's really pulling together. Usually there's two levels of views and what we're sharing with different teams on how a campaign's performing. A top line view so they can see across core KPIs how a campaign's performing. And the core KPIs are really structured in a typical marketing funnel, where we're looking to see from exposure to a campaign's ads through awareness, engagement, consideration, and then finally action and impact. Trying to give a comprehensive view of how a campaign's performing. And then when it within each of those areas of the performance framework, being able to click in and get key insights that we use, especially on vaccine daily. We're constantly looking at the results to optimize and understand performance.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, it's great stuff. I love the fact that you've got the overview one, and then we can, you can drill down into more detail on demand as you need to. So that's fantastic. Yeah, I guess it's amazing seeing how data plays the role in this emotional industry. Is it wrong to bring Mad Men and Don Draper in? Perhaps everybody does that. Maybe that's frustrating for you. But would he and his team were the epitomization of the human emotional driven decisions that they made in the industry back then. I mean, is data ever going to replace that human aspect, or is Don safe in his job?
I'd say today it really requires both. It's a bit like data science, where marketing and advertising is art and science. We're using a data-driven approach, and it's really critical today to infuse that data, but it also requires that, understanding that emotional pool, and combining the two, converging that data to make sure that your campaigns are effective and are going to resonate with your target audience. And so data-driven marketing, you have to have for the quality and effectiveness of your communications, and also to keep up with the changes in the marketing landscape. I don't think data replaces humans. Alone, data can miss context, which can make messaging tone deaf, which we definitely want to do against a societal issue. Especially for our campaigns, we can't genuinely connect with the target audience if, again, the messages don't resonate emotionally. And I read an article that said we should be a human first and use data to inform, which I like, that convergence of data and emotion to find the right solution. Yeah. So I'd say it's a combination of mad men and math men, and definitely women.
Yes,
I think that's where we are today.
Absolutely. Fantastic. So look, these questions have been brilliant. I wanted to wrap up thinking, can we see a campaign that's coming up, something you've been working on? So we've got another ad to play. Do you just want to introduce it?
Sure. So, what's coming up, we're going to continue the vaccine education initiative. We know there's a lot of work to be done and there's still a lot of risk. So overall, we'll be continuing that effort, even though it's starting to feel a little more normal. And then, we're working on our campaigns, but one example I have is our Love Has No Labels initiative. I shared an execution that we did last summer, which was focused on combating racial injustice and bias. We'll have new work launching in the months ahead, which will carry our mission further, driving action in the fight against racism and promoting diversity and inclusion in communities across the US.
All right, let's take a look.
I've heard people make comments like, "Thanks for bringing the virus over."
Didn't it come from you guys?
A passenger told me that I should go back to China.
I've had strangers cough at me.
People move away from me.
Someone spit 3 times towards my direction. I felt so violated. My biggest fear is that all the stereotypes that we've worked so hard to break are just going to be reversed. And I won't let that happen.
Everyone has to keep everyone else safe. We all have to play our part.
I've been spending 8 to 10 hours a day making masks.
I donate my plasma.
As an essential worker, I'm delivering food, groceries for my community.
I know I'm putting myself at a little extra risk. I'm happy to do it.
It's really hard to talk about racism when all I want to do is cry about it.
You have to talk about it to other people. You have to tell them these things exist.
We're all human. I'm a firefighter, not a virus.
I'm a mask maker, not a virus.
I'm a nurse, not a virus.
I'm a delivery woman.
I'm a rideshare driver.
I'm a chef, a neighbor,
artist,
bus driver.
I'm a doctor.
Fight the virus, fight the virus.
Okay, amazing stuff, and thanks. And if anybody wants to go and watch more of this stuff, there are links below, and we'll be talking about where you can find more of Anne and the Ad Council's work in a moment. So I guess last question, Anne, is from the learnings from the pandemic. What do you think are the practices, particularly that you made with data or just in business resilience, that you're going to carry over into the future?
Right. Definitely to be agile and flexible. I think most businesses have learned that lesson throughout the pandemic. We also plan on really building on the momentum and progress we've had on evolving analytics on behalf of the vaccine education and figuring out how to apply that across our core docket of campaigns and other issues we continue to move more deeply on in the future. So things like that include expanding unique, often multi-partner collaborations. I think that's a unique capability of the Ad Council to convene partners and organizations together to address an issue. And we certainly want to do that on behalf of analytics. We also want to continue partnerships with leaders in technology and figure out what additional tech solutions we can integrate so that we have a very turnkey end-to-end automated solution. And exploring solutions which help us better measure large-scale impact in a very tangible way. So really looking to take what we've done and build on top of it throughout the rest of the year.
Fantastic stuff. And hopefully everyone watching is now really excited and wants to find out more. So if they want to follow you or get in touch with you or the Ad Council, where should we send them?
Sure. So Ad Council's website, adcouncil.org, and our social channels have updates on our most recent campaigns and work. Also go to getvaccineanswers.org if you're vaccine hesitant and find out information on the top questions and concerns that vaccine hesitant audiences have. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm also on the website, so you could just reach out to me directly too if you have any questions or ideas. Happy to connect.
Fantastic. Well, Anne, it has been an absolute pleasure to talk to you and learn more about the work of the Ad Council. Wish you all the best with the future campaigns, and everybody go get vaccinated. Hope you've enjoyed the show, and please let us know what you think in the comments. And hey, we'll see you next time on If Data Could Talk. Take care and goodbye.
Thank you, Andy.